Hi everyone, my name is Sanchit Bansal and we are here today for a session on how to crack PM interviews. So let me first start with a brief introduction about myself. I did my engineering and MBA from India. Thereafter, I started two companies. The first one was a B2C product for news reading. The second one was to help people find rental houses. And thereafter, 3 years back, I joined Amazon. I'm currently working here as a senior product manager leading the performance advertising business. So in my career so far, I've worked on a variety of products, B2C products, chat-based products, enterprise products, and have been in several interviews on either side of the table. Through this session, I would like to take you through my learnings on what I've seen works best in product management interviews and how you can prepare to have a good shot at these interviews. Okay, so let me first tell you briefly about the agenda for this webinar. We'll first talk about what are the key responsibilities in a PM role. In order to fulfill these responsibilities well, what are the kind of skills and ideal work experience that companies look for? And then to evaluate these, there are certain sets of questions that are asked in PM interviews. And what are the preparation strategies to tackle these questions best? So, in brief, a product manager is owner of a product or a feature. In large companies, they will probably give a feature and not an entire product. In smaller companies or mid-stage companies, product managers may get to own the entire product. So all products or features have some key business metrics that the PM is responsible for, and he essentially drives the improvements or targets for these business metrics. So for a company like Facebook, the metrics could be around engagement: how many people are liking, how many people are commenting, how much time are they spending on the platform. For a company like Google, it could be how many times a person is searching on the platform. For a company like Amazon, it could be how many transactions the person is making on Amazon. So there are these various kinds of metrics depending on the product. In order to achieve targets on these metrics, the PM is supposed to prepare a roadmap of enhancements and features. And education or experience in UX design helps, because he's also expected to understand how any changes will work with the user. And there is a lot of cross functional work involved with various teams. It could be sales, marketing, business development, legal, engineering, design. So this is in a nutshell what a product manager does. And in order to do this, as you can very well understand, there are a variety of skills that companies look for in a PM. So the key thing to note in this slide is it is an ideal skill set, not something that you need to have to crack a PM interview. It's a combination of hard skills and soft skills, and is judged through your CV and interviews. So generally, a typical PM should have a technical background, have a business degree, some basic product understanding, and any relevant past experience. Relevant past experience can be along multiple dimensions. It could be relevant experience in the industry, relevant experience with the set of customers, or relevant experience functionally, which is that you have product experience. Relevant experience with set of customers means that, say you have been working in an insurance company which caters to large B2B clients. So you can port your learning of how to interact with such large businesses to another company, say, which is working on cloud solutions for large enterprises. So these are the different dimensions of past experience. Then on soft skills, a PM is generally expected to have very good communication, since he will do a lot of verbal and written communication with the different cross-functional teams he works with. He's expected to uh, lead and rally people around in order to achieve whatever the targets are, and generally deliver results. If you have had a history of delivering results, it will be looked upon very positively. Key thing to understand here is that product understanding or background in product management is absolutely not necessary to crack a PM interview. I have been in several interviews where candidates who did not have any product background actually were preferred over ones who did have some product background. And this is because they did really well on some of the other skills that are mentioned here. So for you, it is very important to understand what your strengths are and play to those strengths. If you're really good at some things, it will be, you can easily compensate any shortcomings in any of the other areas. So with this background on what are the key skills and how companies look for for an ideal PM candidate, let's move on to how these skills are assessed for in interviews. So companies would generally have a round of interviews, say 4 to 5 rounds. It could even go up to 7 rounds. And through interaction in these various rounds, they try to assess a candidate in broadly four kinds of sections. First is introduction, which is very straightforward. M- More than 80-90% of interviews start with an introduction. Then a bit of understanding of your work experience, what you've worked on so far, and some examples of where you demonstrated certain kind of values. Product case studies to test your understanding of product, whether or not you have worked in product in the past. And self-awareness questions: how aware are you of what you want to be a few years down the line, some of your strengths, weaknesses, etc. So let's start with the introduction first. So the key thing about this section is that good performance in this section may not make it for you, but bad performance will definitely break it for you. So this is a hygiene section, and you are expected to come out of this section with flying colors. So ideally, you should have my recommendation is to have two sets of intros prepared. One which is a very short version, 60 seconds, and the other one which is a slightly longer one, 2 to 3 minutes. And you have to highlight your achievements whenever you are introducing yourself. As I said earlier, you can expect more than 80 to 90% of interviews starting with an introduction, and you have to be very well prepared in order to deliver a impactful intro. This is the only section in the interview where you will probably get a chance to steer the interview in a direction you want. So it is very important to refer to areas which you are very confident about, say a stint in a particular company where you delivered really good results and are extremely confident of talking about of that stint. So overall, your introduction has to sound like a story, and try and demonstrate your achievements, or try and show the key skills that the interviewer might be looking for. So to give you a very simple example of an introduction, say there's a person who has graduated from MIT, did his MBA from Harvard, worked between engineering and MBA, and thereafter has been working in a consulting firm. So the bare bones structure of an interview would look like this: that I was born and brought up in XYZ place in US, thereafter went to MIT, did my engineering, worked in a software development firm as a software engineer, where I was working on XYZ product or XYZ website. Then thereafter did my MBA, have been working in consulting, and have majorly worked in these industries and these kind of projects. Right, so this gives you a bare bone structure. You can fill in the details depending on what the experience has been so far, and it helps the interviewer get a very good overview of what you have done. And in this structure, you can then spend more time talking about areas that you're really confident of. So moving on to the next section. So after the introduction is done, there will be a lot of questions on your work experience, what you've done so far, with the objective of understanding it in a better way and assess you on the skills that the company is looking for, and also assess you on some of the soft skills which may be part of the company culture. These can differ highly from company to company. To give you an example, Amazon has 14 leadership principles they care about a lot. So they will try and judge a candidate on those 14 leadership principles through examples from work experience. And a regular question would look like, give me an example of a situation when you did something. Give me an example of a situation when you had to deliver something really fast. The key recommendation here to prepare the section well is to first make a list of top projects or major incidents that have happened in your life so far. So top projects is fairly straightforward. Some of the projects where you were engaged for a longer period of time and did either well or did not do well, that's also okay, because it helps you showcase examples for questions which might ask of examples or situations when you did not do well. And major incidents, these incidents can be from your work experience but maybe outside of your work. For example, you helped a colleague overcome a difficult situation at work. So something like that may not be exactly project related, but something you generally did. So once you prepare these top 5 6 projects or incidents, it can help you answer a much higher number of questions across all dimensions. So let's take a simple example here. Say due to this COVID-19 situation, you the entire organization had to come online quickly and you were tasked with doing this. And in the course of doing this project, there were certain conflicts, but you were able to ultimately deliver good results, where the organization came online and had everyone had the required tools at their disposal to function very effectively. So now once you have prepared this scenario well, it can help you answer very different kind of questions. Say first is, give me an example of a situation when you had to achieve something in a very short span of time. This fits in really well. Give me an example of a situation uh, where uh, where you had a conflict with your colleagues or seniors, but you were able to convince them of your opinion. So this example can again fit in well. So there might be some other related examples, like where you had to do something where you showed extreme bias for action and delivered results, right? So this can again fit in well. So once you prepare these incidents or projects, it helps you answer a lot of these questions. And the ideal way to prepare these incident and projects is to prepare a flowchart of the exact sequence of events that happened. What happens when you prepare a flowchart is that this is how the event started, this was the sequence of steps I take, and this was the final outcome. It helps you remember these things really well, and you will be able to deliver a very confident answer or perspective whenever you touch upon the incident or the project in your interview. And the last thing to remember here is that you should always structure your answer. It can be a simple 3-step structure. You first start with the situation where you give good context about what was the situation then what did you do after that, and what was the reason for doing a certain thing. You can also present the interviewer with the various options you evaluated before you decided to go ahead with a certain option. And finally, what was the outcome, or if there were any learnings or not. So after work experience, moving on to the third section. So this is broad case studies where you will be tested for your understanding, intuitive judgment of products. So thing about this section is it is very hard to anticipate the kind of questions you might get here. You can get various different kind of questions compared to some of the other sections where you can easily guess most of the questions on and prepare for them in advance. So in order to do well in this section, you have to practice a lot, and only after that you will get an intuitive understanding or structure of how to tackle these questions as and when they come. Generally, there are two categories of questions when it comes to product testing, the product understanding. One is products that you like or don't like. Give me an example of product that you like. And the second is design a new product from scratch or suggest improvements in an existing product. So we'll talk about both these sections one by one. For the first one, you can just shortlist a few products and prepare them really well. At the bare minimum, you should prepare for one product that you really like and one product that you don't like. So let's take an example. Somebody likes Google Maps a lot. So when you're presenting this, you do not have to present it saying that I like Google Maps because it helps me get from point A to point B in a really effective way. It's a very short answer. You may have a few other reasons also, but this is not the way you have to present whenever you are asked such a question. The right way to do it is you first have to establish what are the needs for which a particular product is used. So Google Maps. So you would start by saying, I use Google Maps for these 3 core needs. First is by figuring out the direction on navigation from point A to point B. Second is if I have to check how much time does it take from point A to point B and decide my travel accordingly. And the third is to figure out nearby restaurants in an area. So once you establish this set of needs, then for each of these needs, you can evaluate how this product does and how does it compare to other competition products and why you believe that this is one of the best products or it satisfies your need really well. In this way, it helps you present a very impactful answer on why you like this product by evaluating several dimensions. And not only this, once you present an answer in this way, it also helps you tackle any questions that may be asked as follow up to this one. So a natural or a general follow up question after somebody asks this is, okay, so you like Google Maps, what improvements can you suggest to improve it? Because you started with a set of needs and you evaluated the product on every need, there will always be certain needs where the product does okay or not as well, and then you can pick up those needs and suggest any improvements there. So by following a structured approach, you can really tackle it well. So coming to the second kind of questions here, which is designing a new product. So let's take another example here. Design an e-learning app for students. Okay. So let's go through the kind of structures you have to follow to answer such a question. The first step in all such questions is to always ask clarification such that you can narrow the scope of the problem and both the interviewer and you are on the same page with respect to what is supposed to be designed. So here clarification questions will first be around users. Is there a specific geography you are targeting? Is it for US, some other geography? Is there a specific demography of users you are targeting? Any age, gender, or anything like that? Is it meant for both kids and parents or only kids alone? Right? So there can be a variety of these questions. What I've seen is interviewers will not answer every clarification question with a definitive segment, and they will generally leave it to the interviewer to pick up any segment that they like. So then you can move on to the next thing, which is the business objective. The objective here again is to clarify if there is a specific business objective with which the product is being designed. Business objectives can be of several kinds, say gaining market share in a particular category, building a profitable product in a particular category. And based on that, you can incorporate that objective into the users that you choose and the features that you design. Okay. So once this is done, then you should ask the interviewer for some time, say 30 seconds to a minute, to structure your thoughts. Once done, then you have to start with users. So if you were not able to narrow down the segment in the clarification question section, this is the section where you want to really narrow down your user and make it clear on who you are designing the product for. So say we say that we will design this e-learning app for students in United States aged 10 to 15 years and studying the language English. Okay, so actually language here means two things. One, the app will be in language English. So if there is a particular segment of people who do not speak English, this product will not cater to that. And children between 10 to 15 years have a lot of needs for learning. They will have maths, social sciences, English, some other subjects. And you here have picked up language English, that you will help them learn language English. Okay. So this way you have narrowed down the user segment, and now the next steps will be taken accordingly. Once the user segment is decided, then you will move on to the needs and use cases. So similar to what we discussed for Google Maps, a student will have certain needs or certain use cases for which he will go to an e-learning app. So if it is language English, he can have use cases like improving punctuation, improving pronunciation, improving grammar, improving comprehension, help with the school homework, general assessments about English. So there are a variety of use cases. You can pick up top 4 or 5 use cases and then move on to the next step, where you will suggest features or describe the user journey through which the user will be able to accomplish his needs or use cases. So say you want to help somebody improve his pronunciation, then you can have a simple voice based interface where the user can either type in something, type in a word, and you will then the app will then give a voice output on what the correct pronunciation is. There can be various other features to solve for the other use cases we discussed, and this is something where this is a step where you have a complete canvas to paint whatever picture you want, up to you to completely choose whatever features you want. You can also try and be a little innovative in this section and come up with really cool features so that your answer or solution looks different compared to what other candidates would have given. And in the end, you have to end your answer with a set of metrics that you will use to evaluate if the product is doing well and satisfying the business objective with which we started. So that's all in the product case studies section. The last section is a fairly straightforward one. I'm sure a lot of you would have encountered this in your past interviews, questions on self-awareness. The objective here is to test your clarity of thoughts. If you are extremely clear and have spent some time thinking about what you want to do next, or what are some of your strengths, weaknesses, basically clarity about yourself, and a test of your character to some extent. The actual answers here do not matter that much from whatever I've seen so far. It is more about how you deliver these answers and if you sound confident enough of whatever you're saying about yourself. So that is the prime that is the number one factor which is tested here. To give you some common examples, what is your biggest strength, weakness? Give me an example when you failed. Why do you want to move to product management? Why this company? The ideal preparation strategy is to make a list of all such questions. It'll hardly be a list of 15-20 questions. You can easily find it on the internet, and then start preparing one by one. You have to give some time to each of these questions and think enough so that you can come up with a genuine and honest answer. The importance with giving honest answers is that you will appear more confident, and you have to be honest, but you also have to be careful at the same time. So say in a PM interview, you cannot say that my weakness is I'm bad at user design. That will be a straight reject in a lot of cases. So be honest, but also be careful. And once you spend enough time, you'll be able to bring out that deep thought and honesty in your answers. And last of all, it is very important to give examples to enhance the validity of whatever you're saying and make the interviewer believe you. So say you say my biggest strength is time management. So do not stop there. Give an example when you were really crunched for time and had several moving priorities. So how did you manage this hard task of prioritization? What did you pick and what was the outcome, which makes you believe that you are really good at managing time? So with this, I'd like to summarize this talk. My biggest advice is that what I've seen people do is that they do not pay enough attention to all the 4 sections. They would prepare a lot, but spend disproportionate effort on 1 to 2 sections, and are often found wanting in the others which they did not prepare well enough. So prepare all 4 sections equally well. Spend time on ones which you think you may not be strong at, and adjust your time allocation accordingly. It's best to prepare a list of all questions that you want to be prepared for, and then move forward accordingly. Make a list of top projects and incidents in your life and be very thorough with them. Understand your strengths well and try to bring them out in the interview as and when you get a chance, and try to steer the interview in a direction which talks about areas that are your strength or areas that you've done really well in. Structure is very important. Do not give an answer with a laundry list of reasons. try and structure it logically so that the interviewer is able to appreciate whatever you're saying. And in the end, practice as much as you can. You can practice through mock interviews. There are a lot of online forums, or you can form a group amongst yourselves and practice. So that's all from me. I hope you had a good time and had something to learn. If you have any questions, feel free to write to me on my email ID. That's it from me. Thank you.